Welcome to another episode of the Caffeinated Librarians, Mayapack Public Library's pop culture podcast. We are here today with the final installment of our Time to Cry series, a series which has seen many people cry, one in particular, but not for this one, unfortunately.
I did not have a mental breakdown.
Okay.
First, let's introduce ourselves. I am the hostess with the mostest, Lewis. This is my table partner, Katie, Amanda, Simona, Annalisa, and Joe. Today we're talking about the 2023 film Past Lives, nominated for several Oscars. A wonderful film about star-crossed lovers who aren't really lovers, but
Should be.
they were drawn to each other. Let's get some initial thoughts in.
All right, my chest still hurts. I may not have cried, but
Hurts.
my chest hurts
Should
because
we go to the hospital?
the way that I was describing
First
it
sign of a heart
earlier,
attack.
the vibe of the film reminded me of one of my favorite Lumineer songs. It's called Cleopatra, and the entire thing is about being late for your life and how all of the decisions you've made in your life have now led you to where you are now, and even though you would wish you could go back and change it, you have no choice but to now live your life the way that it is.
Oh,
And
that was heavy. That was deep. What a way to start.
my favorite
Damn.
lyric in that song is, I've read the script and the costume fits, so I'll play my part. And it's so, it provides that same ache that this film does for me, where I want to hate her husband. I want to, but he's a good person,
Yeah.
and he's nice, and he's understanding, and I can't hate him.
Yeah.
No, he's a good guy, and like
But
she's gonna
very
be happy
insecure.
with him. It's
Yeah.
just there are lives she couldn't live, and
Yeah.
And it makes me really, really upset.
I loved this movie. I'm such a sucker for these kind of stories. You give
Yeah.
me that longing, that bittersweetness of like, well, my life is good, and I'm happy, but like there's. What about this? What about that? What about
Yes.
like? And I don't know. I love that, and this movie just captured it so beautifully and so tenderly. And it looked beautiful.
Yeah.
The soundtrack was so lovely.
Yeah.
All the actors were just on point, and like it gave a lot of depth to it. I felt.
It kind of reminds me of, like, the entire movie reminds me of the final, like, 10 minutes of La La Land.
Yes.
Like that feeling that you get when
I've
she,
seen that movie.
like when he sees Emma Stone there, and then they have the montage, and there's the aching that they're not together,
Okay.
and then
I felt that the entire movie. I was like, these are some really weird, awkward situations going on that I'm just like, just say it. Just say it. Like when they did the I miss yous over Zoom.
Yeah.
First off, that was a blast from the past.
Yeah.
The old
The Skype.
school Zoom,
Yeah.
Skype. I still
I-
use Skype, but
I saw a review that mentioned just how well it captures like those kind of calls, how like the rhythm of your speech is going to be weird and broken up because you're
Yeah.
like, wait, are they connected? Did they drop? And
Yeah.
yeah,
like the scene on the monorail going up the mountain, just boop.
Yeah.
That sound, that boop. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Ew.
It was incredibly well done, and I thought it was beautiful. But I will never watch this again.
No.
I
I watched it 3 times in like
so
2 months.
angry, and it's not at the movie. It's just like I'm so mad at the situation where it's like, yeah, she's gonna be happy, but what about the life that she could have had? She could have been so much happier in that other life, and now she's stuck.
I don't know if she would have been happier
Yeah.
though. That's the thing.
That was
It's
kind
not-
of interesting with that conversation we
Yeah.
talked about with the concept of the
Innu.
Inyan.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, I believe that most of the Asian cultures have some form of that. I know there's like the red thread of fate, where
Yep.
each thread like connects to somebody that you were, it connects to people. I liked the concept of them using it here, and I liked their little conversation in the park where it was like, maybe in a past life were in a political marriage, and
Yeah.
I was terrible to you, and maybe they were,
just
if
very
past
cute.
lives existed. But
Yeah. I really love this movie. The ending made me cry. I was sobbing at the end of this movie because it's so based in reality that it's such a bittersweet ending, and it like reminded me It is. It's like a what if at the end. It's like all of the what ifs are playing in her head. And I, like, just from my own, and I think the reason why it hit me as hard as it did is because from my own experience, where I was, like, virtually dating this guy who lived all the way in England, and he broke up with me because he made a decision for me instead of talking to me about it, and it broke my heart. And so it did, and it's like sometimes I don't dwell on it as often as I did when it first happened, but it's like all that what if, what if you just talked to me and we could have worked something out, or what it's so. But beautifully acted movie, beautifully written movie. The story was great. I actually think I either heard or read somewhere that the story is based off of the director and writer's actual life.
Oh, yeah?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But they had a happy thing.
Yeah.
They got together.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't remember where I read it or heard it, but so it just makes that story hit all the more harder for me, but I'm not mad at it. It was beautiful.
Yeah, I think if we're gonna touch on the ending, so obviously they don't end up together.
Spoiler.
She's already married, and he comes to visit her in New York, and so she's walking him to the Uber, and they kind of they're doing this like slow turn towards each other, and like every time I watch it, I feel like I can feel the things that are happening around it. Like I feel like it's summer for some reason. I feel like the heat of New York City, and I feel like I can feel kind of like that heart-pounding suffocation that happens when you're not going to see this person again.
Yeah.
And
No.
and you could tell that she wants to say something.
Yeah.
And the Uber comes, and she's like, and she has this like moment of panic on her face.
Yeah.
And then he turns around and says what he says, which I think is just so
I wanted to push
just amazing.
into him.
So amazing moment. I loved how that was shot. I loved
Yeah.
the slow tracking of them walking down the street.
Yeah.
I'm a
was
sucker for that too. I'm a sucker for so many things. But what really got me is the slow track back, her walking alone, she's starting to cry, and then Arthur's just on the steps smoking, waiting for her because he knows that this is going to be a rough moment for her. And I don't know, that hit more than anything for me.
yeah.
Just that
He's just
it's like a sweet twist of the knife, you know?
Yeah.
He's just so understanding
Oh,
and
Yeah.
such a
The
good person.
one thing I
and-
thought was hysterical. Did anybody else notice what his book was called?
No.
No.
Oh, yeah, it's Boner.
Yeah, his book was called Boner.
Oh, really?
Wow.
It's like-
How is that one the bestseller?
I didn't notice that.
But he's a very sweet and supportive husband, and he is being there for her.
Yeah.
It's my own life experience coloring my opinion of the film, where I know she's going to be happy to some extent, and this is the life that she's built, and she can't walk away from it because that doesn't make sense. It'd be a very irrational choice to do that.
Right.
And I read romance novels for a reason.
Yeah.
Because they would walk away from it. Because
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. And I really liked that this was very realistic and very... It felt real. It did, because you wouldn't walk away from that life. It's good enough.
Yeah.
Her life is good enough.
I don't think
Good
she's
enough.
unhappy. I don't.
Yeah.
I didn't
See-
get dissatisfaction from her.
So that's what I'm saying. She's not... It's fine. Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with it.
But there's
But-
also the I've
what
been in a
if.
situation
Yeah.
where
Exactly.
where I really liked someone and then we met years
What
later.
were their
but
names?
I've already
What was
been.
their name?
I'm not saying names. But in the end we got closure. And that
How?
was great. We sat down and we got dinner and we talked.
What'd you have for dinner?
And pasta. Like this guy, pasta.
He does love his
I love that.
No,
that scene
I
when they
did
meet.
like
Oh.
somebody, and I had already been, with Brian for a while, and I, wouldn't give that up for anything. But it was one of those things where it's like, what could have happened if, maybe if I, there's the question of me, where it's like, what if I could have tried harder to do something, or what would have happened if, we kind of had that, or, something like that, or would have had happened if in the past I just completely broke everything off. and
Yeah.
didn't do anything. I think the what ifs always come back, and those are the regrets.
Yeah.
For stuff like that, I think there is this overlying, this overabundance of the feeling of, oh, we didn't talk for a while, so she had time to forget.
Mm-hmm.
And then when confronted with it again, it's like, oh, I remembered how much, I think that I miss you spoke a lot more than saying, like, I love you. That's what I waited for the entire film, just to be like, when he's in the Uber, and I'm like, it's your last chance. There's only, like, 10 minutes left of this film. I'm like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
And he's just like,
Bye.
I like that, because I love when
I'll
they had
see
the
you
scene
then.
when they were kids and when she's
Oh my God,
immigrating, coming
Yeah.
back.
Oh,
And I thought he was
the-
going to say bye,
That
but
was
he
so
didn't say
mean.
bye.
Yeah.
And so I was like, bye. And he was like, no, I'm not going to say that. And I was like, damn.
Okay.
I thought he was going to say, I love you. And I just wanted to push her during the scene where they're just staring at each other. I'm like, just get in. I'm like,
This-
divorce. Divorce.
Yeah.
This is so barely related, but anybody hear that newish Usher song, Good Good? It's a great song,
Yeah.
just about being on good terms with your ex, and I highly recommend it. It gives
A
me
lot
some of
of
the same
people today
vibes
need
as
that
this
song.
movie. It's an awesome song.
Yeah, no.
I love it.
I love it. I love
I
Usher.
so in that when he's about to get into the Uber, and then it cuts back to them as kids for like that instant, and it's like, and like they must have cut the sound there because
Yes.
like you have that static sound in the background when he's like, or you could probably hear the car.
Yeah,
humming or
the
something.
city sounds were really good. I
Yeah.
liked when they just heard the sirens and he
Yeah.
was really taken off guard by
Yeah.
it because he's not been to New York
Yeah.
before. So,
But then
Yeah,
when
that's
they
normal
when they
here.
when they cut, like the
So much
sound
fun.
goes away, and so it's like it hit me, like I think that's saying like even though like they hadn't at this point they haven't seen each other in what 24 years.
12, but
Oh, I thought it was 12 years from.
So they went
their
back 24,
Skype stuff.
12.
Yeah, but they haven't seen each other in
Yeah.
person, right?
24 years.
Yeah. Like that symbolized to me like it's like you have people in your life that no matter how long it's been since you've seen them, like no time has passed.
Right.
And I think that's what that hit me very hard.
Mm-hmm.
I think getting back to kind of what you're talking about, I think she's genuinely happy with Arthur. I think she loves Arthur.
Yes.
I think there's always a part of her that realizes there's a part of her that's missing.
Yes.
And there's a part of her that while she's happy and while she's in love realizes that there's a missing part of her that maybe loves him or at one time loved him, and because they never really got the chance to
Explore it.
yeah, they kind of there's almost something missing. So
Yeah.
you
Well, I
could
mean-
be perfectly happy in your relationship, but there's just somebody that is
He's her person.
Home.
Yeah.
there's somebody that
her home.
means something in a significant way, even if it's not necessarily romantic.
Yeah.
It's also,
there's
I
somebody
think, attached
that
to her culture as
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, because I think when she first reaches out to him, like, her name is Nora. She doesn't even go by her
Yeah.
Korean name.
Mhm.
She just goes by Nora. And she said her mom even just stopped calling
Yeah.
her
Yeah.
by her Korean name. She says the only people she speaks Korean with
Yeah.
are him and her mom.
Yeah.
And that's it. And whereas her husband, kudos to him for trying to learn Korean and his favorite
Yeah.
food being a Korean dish. It's like he's
Yeah.
really trying to be there for the culture.
Mhm.
But in the end,
Yeah.
I understand his insecurities. He was a little too insecure. And,
Okay,
but
I
there was a
think
moment,
that-
though, that
I
I
think
understood
if-
his
Yeah.
insecurities.
I
No, I'm
think
not
he
saying-
is very reasonable.
no,
here.
to be
Yeah.
fair,
Oh,
there
yeah.
was that whole talk where she's brushing her teeth, where she just throw out, he's like, he's just Korean. He's Korean man. He's
Yeah.
just so Korean. I was like, girl, calm down on the Korea thing.
Yeah.
Stop. I was like, How many times are you going to toss that word out?
I thought he handled that very maturely, though. He said,
Yes.
"Are
He
you
did.
are you
Yeah.
attracted
He didn't
to him?"
freak
Yeah,
out.
And he was just upfront about like,
Yeah.
yeah,
He looked
here
so
are my
shaky. I was like,
insecurities.
oh,
here's
yeah,
what
he's like a little
I'm.
chihuahua.
Here's what's on my
Open
mind.
about his feelings. Yeah.
Yeah.
He looked like a little chihuahua to me though during
Oh,
those scenes where he was
yeah.
like about to explode. I'm like, yo, this boy's gonna pop. I was like,
I love the scene where he was just like draped on her, like
like
that
a
John
koala,
and Yoko
yeah.
picture, and
Yeah.
she was just like, "We should get chicken wings." And he was like, "Oh my god,
That's
let's
me.
go."
I like their relationship, and I like him.
Yeah.
I didn't want to, but I do.
Yeah.
I like him.
You're,
He's
you're
a
like,
good
"Hey,
person.
son."
Exactly. When he says that,
Yeah.
it's like, how
Oh.
heartbreaking is that?
Oh,
Yeah.
baller scene of both of them at the bar.
Oh,
That
and they're just
John
going at
Cale
it.
Song is playing, and it's just Arthur and Hae Sung, and they're just like, and Hae Sung's like, "You know Inyeon?" And he's like, "Yeah, I know
Yeah.
Inyeon." And he's like,
You
"Me and
and
you."
me.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, "Wow."
It's a beautiful film, but
Yeah.
and I think she will be happy. But for me personally, and I think it's the romantic that I am, is he's her person. Like, he's the one she's supposed to be with.
Yeah.
I understand
Next
that
life.
she's happy, but
Next life.
that's not what I want.
Yeah.
And I
Annalise and
understand.
me want the same thing.
Yeah.
Divorce. I don't
Yeah.
wish divorce on many
I
people,
would
but
like
this
to,
in
But I
case.
also would like to toss out this though too, because it's another reason I think why she doesn't take that leap is because who's to say that he will even take her? Who's to
Oh,
say?
that's
It
he
is
will.
very difficult in
Right.
most
But like
countries.
that- but
They're trying to
that's-
get rid of that bias, though,
Right.
with divorced women.
Right.
Yeah.
But who's to say that it wouldn't be like another 12 years before they're actually
Well, that's-
together?
yeah.
And that, like, but
That's what we were
that's
saying.
why they don't. Why neither he nor she takes that leap.
Well, it's like I mean, it goes back to the mom at the beginning when
Hmm.
she's talking to Hae Sung's mom in the park, and she's just
Mm-hmm.
like, you know, you got to leave something to gain something.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
like, I understand they got their closure, and I do really like that. But how did I put it
A lot of money for
earlier?
closure.
I felt like she loves her
Oh, he's doing
husband, and he loves her, but maybe not
Average.
in the way she always pictured.
Right.
And like, Hae Sung could love her in the way that she wants to be loved, but she's now this is just like my personal experience coloring it. She's stuck with this, and she
Yeah.
is happy with her husband, but there's a other life that she could have lived that
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
will always think about.
Yeah, and I think Hae Sung reminds
And
her
that's-
of who she is deep down. Like who she is in New York is not necessarily who she really is.
In
And
Korea.
kind of like what you said,
Well,
like he
yeah.
reminds her of.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that John Cale song,
Yeah.
it's called "You Know More Than I Know," and that plays with Arthur and Hae Sung in the bar, and
Mhm.
I think that really speaks to it because they both know her in ways more than the other one knows her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and there's, you know, I don't think there's a, you know, I think it's just that's how it goes when you meet
Mhm.
people at different times in your life. They're gonna know you in a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
very well put. I didn't know that was the name of the song.
That's I loved the bar scene. I loved it at
Getting
the
a little
beginning
emotional thinking
where
about
they're
that.
like trying to guess how these people know each other.
Yeah.
I love the
that.
immediate res. I always
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
It's like, I think, are they a couple? Well, maybe she's with the white guy and they're a couple.
We're all
Yeah.
gonna go out to a bar and we're gonna guess people's lives. That's what we're gonna do.
Also, one side note. I understand it's New York City, but my goodness, like, he only booked a hotel room for one night.
He did not.
Yeah,
He
because
was there for like a few days, right?
no, he was there, or maybe
My
it was 2
friend
nights.
just did that.
But like his
He only
this
came
last
for
night there, he didn't have the hotel room because he brought the bag with him, and like so
I mean,
so
they
they just
stayed out
planned
all-
on staying out all night. I would be exhausted.
My friend just did that. He took a train all the way from Vermont like this weekend and only came here for like 2 days, and then went back home.
I just like
He was only
like he
here.
didn't get any
train
sleep
from
before he.
Vermont is a lot quicker than
That's
plane
fair,
from
but
Korea.
he even admitted to me, he was like, great trip, but I think I'll stay more days next time. I'm like, maybe you should, because you literally were here for a night, and that was it.
But that's I like that they just stayed out all night.
Yeah.
But you knew that would happen because that's what I like about them, because he's her person. And time just disappears when
Yeah.
they're together. So they end up being in this bar. They go to dinner, they go to the bar, and then they're there until after 4 in the
They
morning.
have to be, yeah.
Because, well, you learn that at the beginning. It's 4 in the morning and they're still talking at
Yeah.
the bar. because when they're together, everything else falls away. And you
Yeah.
see that with her husband in the bar.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just that is what makes me ache.
Mm-hmm.
That is why my chest hurts.
Yeah.
It is that.
Yeah.
This is her person.
Yeah.
And I understand her life choices and her life, and she's happy and she loves her husband, but he is her person.
Yeah.
And
they
it's
both
the
realized
romantic in
too.
you that wants
Yeah.
them to be together, but it's just not reality.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I think
Yeah.
sometimes you find, again, and I don't know that it's always romantic. I mean, I think in this
Yeah.
case they do have feelings, deep feelings for each other, but I just think that sometimes you do find somebody at a bad time, and it's just
It's the old
You know.
adage, timing is everything,
Yeah.
and timing just wasn't
Yeah.
there.
I
Yeah.
also thought that they were, going back to what you said about like her New York persona versus her Korean persona.
Yeah.
It seemed like she had always been very ambitious. So when they're talking about like what's he doing, and he had a girlfriend, and why she left him is that he was too ordinary, he was too normal, he was too whatever and stuff like that. And she was a very different. And I mean, honestly, good for Nora for being a writer in New York City, making a living and living
Yeah.
in East Village.
Oh, yeah.
and doing
Oh,
well for herself.
That is crazy. That
When
these
she was like,
two
"I'm going to be a
are
writer," I'm like,
living
I'm
it.
so
Oh.
glad that her parents support that.
Yeah.
because
Yeah, I loved when John Magara was like, "Oh, you know, is this what you expected? A tiny apartment in the East Village?" And I'm like, "Buddy, that probably costs like
Yeah.
Yeah.
$200K a year.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you can."
it's nice. Yeah.
he's doing. They're both writers too, and I was like, damn.
Yes.
I'm like,
Yeah.
this movie ain't real at all. But whatever. They're eating chicken wings.
He's published,
Dare
and
you.
she.
Yeah, no, they're successful.
And
Her
she's a
book's bestseller.
playwright.
Boner
I don't
is the
know.
biggest book we've ever seen.
And it's got like a little, what was it, a little balloon dog on it too. Wow. That looked like a chunky book too. That was a pretty decent sized book.
Simona,
Boner.
do you have anything to add?
All right, Simona. Simona is the Elsa of the group, with her cold heart. I'm only joking, Simona.
I know.
Elsa's like the opposite of cold-hearted too. So
That's true.
Yeah,
She's
Lou,
like fake
she really
cold-hearted.
cares.
That's true. But she did want to let it go, but no one would let her.
She wanted to let her go, but no one would let her.
So I guess for me with
Build a snowman.
every time you sing that, the TikTok sound plays in my head, where it's "Do you wanna fight me?"
Oh.
So
Nice.
apparently, yeah.
Okay.
so I guess with regards to what the two characters are going through, I don't have personal experience in that. I've never been in a relationship. I've never experienced like that what if. Like I was telling Annalisa, I guess this is gonna make me sound so ordinary, but the only what ifs really is like with regards to my college experience, or okay, well, what if I had done this differently? What if I had approached this differently? I like, with me, it's more like I think sometimes, you know, what if I had never moved up here? You know, would I be working here? Like, would I have met all of you? Like, what would that have been like? And like sometimes I do think, okay, I have great friendships with you, but what potential friendships did I not make because I'm here? Like, so that's like the only things that I can really have as like what I sometimes think about. I know there are women in my family that had people they cared for, but because of situations, they were never allowed to pursue it. And sometimes I wonder, okay, well, look at what their lives are like now. What could have happened if they were with that other guy? Like, I know my mom, you know, dated other guys, but like when she described it, I said, well, maybe you were just simply better off, you know, never having gone further because it may not have been the right choice for you. So I know there are families that, and people in my life that had those experiences. Like with friends, I have friends where sometimes I think about, well, what if you hadn't done this? What if you hadn't made this choice? Like, what would your life be like now? And that kind of like, I feel regret for them, even though it's not my life. Like, I feel that pain, like, well, what could have been different had you made a different choice? So I did relate to that. And like, I can understand it's heartbreaking because, especially when they were children, they were very close friends. Like, even looking at their friendship, how close they were. And then her life was upended because you're moving to a completely different country. That was, I guess, more heartbreaking for me because you're leaving the the familiar for the unfamiliar. And I know a lot of people do it. My own family did it. And I know for them, like, I sometimes wonder if you could go back, would you still have come here, you know, and left everything behind? So I could relate on that level. The awkwardness where you're meeting a person whom you had a relationship with, but so much time has passed, was very well done. That, like, how do I talk to this person now? You know, we know each other, but at the same time, so much of our lives have developed apart from one another.
It's like we know each
Yeah.
other, but we don't know each
Yeah.
other.
I did feel for Arthur because I could only imagine if I'm in that situation and the person I'm married with is talking to someone. Yes, they dated sort of. They had one date when they were children.
Wasn't even.
Yeah, like, but there's
was a
there's an
play date.
emotional connection between these two people. And how would I feel if I see, like, my spouse connecting on a way which maybe I don't connect with my spouse on that way? Like, how would I feel? But, like, I do admire Arthur because he loves her enough to realize she's not going to up and leave me simply because she's met this person again. And I love the respect he has for her and the respect that she has for him. And yes, that sense of what if, it is heartbreaking because you don't know what could your life have been like. I also know with, it's Haesung? Heisu? Heisu or?
Haesung.
Song?
Yeah.
Like, he even tells her when she asks him what he does, he's insecure about his current status even within Korea because he had a girlfriend who left him because he was too ordinary, I guess. But that's a reality for him too. So if you think about it, you know, okay, what if they were dating, but he feels, I haven't reached that point where I'm good enough for you. Like, how would that have impacted the relationship? So you have to also have these considerations, like, factor in. So yes, that was very well done. I didn't react in a visceral level to that because maybe I just haven't experienced it. So I couldn't connect on that level.
I think he also lost, you know, maybe the reason he turned out so ordinary is because he lost the person who he was competing with.
Yeah.
And now, because the whole thing was in the beginning is that she got second place in a test score.
Yeah.
And it was only through that, you know, certain little competition with each other that he might have just lost motivation to
Yeah.
be better or to continue down a road where maybe that's an assumption though.
It is.
So
But it's a good assumption. I mean,
yeah,
it's good to
it hurts.
yeah.
You lose motivation for things and because someone, you know, may have bolstered you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I know that happened with like drawing. I used to really love drawing and I had someone who like did a lot of like, you know, ego stroking with my drawings, and then when I kind of lost them, it was like,
Oh, yeah.
I do it occasionally, but like, you know, not as often as I used to. I kind of just sit there at a blank page for a while.
Can you draw me?
No. I won't promise stuff like that because it's like it could take like years. At this point, I'll sit there like with the motivation to do it, and I'll sit at a blank page and just kind of like.
I really wanted to say draw me like one of your French girls, but I wasn't sure if that was going to be appropriate for the podcast.
I don't know if I can do that. Very specific with the things I draw.
We should get a boardwalk artist to do caricatures.
I like it. Let's do it.
Oh, we should go to a boardwalk, get characters.
Caffeinated Librarians on the road.
We keep wanting to do that.
We go to Atlantic City.
Oh my God, let's go to Atlantic City.
Atlantic City's a dump.
Brian does nothing but talk about wanting to go to Atlantic City.
Is that what we do in the Shadows episode where they go to Atlantic City? One of the funniest
I'm always-
episodes I've seen.
We could just go to Six Flags Great Adventure, go to the amusement park, and get caricatures done of all of us
I
there.
went to Six Flags once, and
can't
I
gamble
do
at
not like
Six
roller
Flags, though.
coasters. So I had a horrible time.
Amanda!
I tried. I had
like-
panic attacks.
I don't
No.
like roller coasters.
No,
I went to the haunted house thing though, and that was weird.
I loved me some roller coasters when I was a kid. I adored them. And
coasters.
then I went to Lake Compounds this summer with
I
Susanna,
loved
and I had a good time.
Gotta
But
still
the
look
roller
at it.
coasters scared the hell out of me now, and I was like, "What happened?
Yeah,
I'm
they're,
an
like, rickety
adult."
and stuff.
Like,
You want to talk about fate? I had a crush on a boy in middle school. I'm not gonna say his name because he follows me on Facebook. But he's ever watched it.
dox him.
Yeah, what's his name?
No. So I had a big crush on a guy I didn't talk to in middle school. I just thought he was really cute. And then for some reason I was told that like he stopped showing up at school. And I was like, I wonder what happened to this kid. And they were like, oh, like his parents sent him to boot camp or something. And I went, oh, joking, censor me. And then it was like maybe like 2 years later or so. My parents, this was in North Carolina, and I visited my parents here in New York, and we went to Lake Compounds, and there was a boy walking around
Oh, boy.
who looked
Wow.
just like him, and I thought I was
Oh.
like going nuts.
I thought you were gonna say was him.
You want to?
Oh.
And I was like, no way, same haircut, same kind of like side profile, and I was like, I'm just imagining things. And then we went to, I guess, like Compounds has this magic show area where you can go and just sit. I don't know if they still have it. And I sat there, and him and his dumb friends were sitting in this magic show, and they said his name, and I'm like, oh
So
my
it was
God.
him?
And the entire time, like, my heart is racing, and I'm like, oh my God, this is fate.
Yeah.
This is fate. We met 2 years later. It was meant to. And then I just kind of was like, whatever. Much like, because then he came back to school, and I really wanted to talk to him, but then he was hanging out with a bunch of people that I was
You
like,
should have
ugh.
just gone up to him and be like, "Hey,
No, I got
been
rid of
to
that real
Lake
fast.
Compounds lately?"
But it was weird. You brought up like Compounds, and now we're talking about past lives, and the part of me was just like,
He might be.
fates. No, not anymore.
I think-
No.
So, as me personally, as a romance reader, I guess that's influenced it. But like, I think you have a person,
Yeah.
and for this, I think that's why it hits so hard.
At a
right?
time, or
I do read those, but no. I think you have like a person that you're supposed to. It's
You just,
like the
it's
red
that
string.
person. You find that
Yeah.
person who just gets you.
Yeah.
Who knows you and makes
Yeah.
you feel safe, makes you feel home.
I
yeah,
have yet to
That's
find
Especially
that
with an
person.
immigration
Well, that's
story.
in Buddhist tradition. When you meet your soulmate, you're not supposed to feel butterflies.
Yeah.
You're supposed to feel like a sense of calm and safety.
Yeah.
And I always loved that.
Yeah.
Because it's sort of like, and I know
Ooh,
I've spoken
butterflies.
about soulmates before, and I know many of you may not, but I do believe you have a soulmate, and there's that concept that the soulmate is like at one point your soul was split, so when you meet your soulmate, it's your soul coming together and becoming completed.
How
So,
Greek.
yeah, so like I like that idea
Just
that
waiting on the
there
people.
is that person who you're destined to be with, you know. So
I love that. It doesn't have to be a romantic partner.
yeah.
It can be your best friend is your soulmate.
yeah.
And
It does get awkward.
I mean, for some people it works out great because you don't have to choose. But
Am I feeling? Hello?
I really, and I loved that about this film is that's the vibe that I got for them. It just didn't, not in this life. It just is very sad and achy.
Yeah.
It feels achy.
Yeah.
It's very achy, but I kind of enjoy that about the movie. It was, as much as I sat there wanting to just have some random New Yorker like shove her into him or, you know, something like that, like, oh no.
Yeah.
Kind of a moment like, yes! I'm like, or have them like kiss, even though it would have
Yes.
caused a lot of drama. Sorry,
Would have been a
this
totally
movie's twins.
different movie. Yeah.
It would have been
That's all I wanted was one kiss.
one kiss, and it felt like it's like, as much as I feel kind of robbed of it, life does that to you.
Yeah.
Where like
Yeah.
you know, sometimes you don't get the closure. Sometimes you hold yourself back, and I
Yeah.
think Hae-sung held himself back quite a bit
Yeah.
this entire time. And like, I don't think we understand the full concept of like that bar scene.
Mm-hmm.
First off, did
Yeah.
that bar look like the bar from the movie Your Pick? There was one of your
Oh.
picks for the foreign film that we watched. It was, was it
Chungking
Chungking Express? That bar reminded
very
me
similar.
of that bar a little bit.
Yeah, a little.
It
Yeah.
had the vibes
Similar
of
lighting.
it. Yeah. Except for it didn't have a cool like background stuff
Yeah.
going on. This was kind of just we're decorating this part of the bar and that's it. But that scene where they're having a conversation in Korean and the guys, their husband's just sitting there like,
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody here can like really sympathize with that. I can, because
Yeah.
moving to New York, it's like, you know, my boyfriend has had friends from high school and they sit there and they talk about their good days and, you know, I just kind of sit there like,
And twiddle
Yeah.
or something.
I didn't
Yes.
go to any of your schools, so
Yeah.
I can't relate to any of this. So you sit there and you're just quiet and you're just like,
or just if you have friends who you've known since high school
Yeah.
and they ran in like different social circles and they meet friends within those social circles and they talk about and you're like,
it's
oh, this
really
is nice.
hard.
I can't contribute to anything.
That
but yes,
was
it's
that
nice.
was me, but it wasn't me feeling that way. It was the other person. So with me and my good friend, there was a third girl who came into the friendship group,
Yeah.
and she felt that way, and she caused some problems because she felt that way. But I was saying, but we've known each other for many years. It makes sense that we're going to be closer than you will be to her or you to me. You know, it's
Yeah.
so that caused some problems. But you know, it's
As it does.
you know, but that's normal. But I think it's also like how it's done. I think it's also understandable that, you know, there will be people that you will connect to on a different level and your relationship will be different. It's not any less significant,
Yeah.
but it's just a different relationship. I mean, that even happens among family members. There's going to be someone that you immediately connect with. That doesn't mean, well, depending on the family member, that you care any less for like the other person, but I just think it's normal. You know, my mom has sisters that she's a lot closer to because, like, there's a connection. Like, with my Aunt Teresa, like, she almost says, like, I wonder if I was, like, reborn as the twin you lost because they have so much in common with one another that, like, my mom also was like, I wonder if I am that, you know, that twin. So it's, you know, there will be people you connect with on different levels, but that's how relationships are. I don't think it means that one relationship has
Yeah.
less significance than the other.
Agreed.
You know,
I agree
Every
with that.
relationship is different,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it gives something. That's why I'm like, I honestly view a lot of like friendships that I do make. It's like, it sucks to say I put a value to friendship because it's like, what does this person, you know, do for me? Like, how do they make me feel?
But I think
you know, what do they do?
I think that's normal.
Yeah, I don't
But a
think
lot of
that's
people
unique
don't
to
like
you.
go around saying like, what's the value of
Well,
this
well,
friendship?
but I
to
under-
me?
but I
You're not
understand-
like grading them. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, but
What's
I
our grade?
A little great.
well, I
serious.
understand. I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying though, because
Monetary values too.
because I don't see it as a monetary value. If you do,
that's
that's
for
fine.
gift giving.
Yeah, but
It's like, how close
but
are
I
we?
understand because I have felt at
We're in
times
the
that
$5 to $10 range.
but I
I
have felt
always
at
start
times
with
that
gifts.
I've given more in a relationship and have not had anything reciprocated. I think that's natural. I think there's a difference between like, you know, it's not a barter system. It's more like, if you care about me, I should be seeing some of that as well.
Yeah.
Versus like it's very one-sided. Then you start to wonder, okay, like, is this truly a friendship, or am I just because I'm convenient for you? So I think that's a natural thing. I don't see it as necessarily like you're ranking or.
Well, yeah, and I can
I do a
agree
little
with
bit of
that.
There's like a meter.
I mean, I don't actively do that, but I can honestly say that I've been in friendships where I've been considered a fair weather friend.
Yeah,
Like, other people have been fair weather friends towards me,
yeah.
and it's very hurtful. It's very hurtful to be in that type of situation. But and now I don't talk to them
Yeah,
because of that.
and I see that different as friendships where, you know, eventually things, because of life changes, you sort of drift apart.
Yeah.
But there's still a respect or whatever. There's a difference between that and then people where it's like, what can I get out of you? And that's the sole purpose for the quote unquote friendship or relationship.
Right.
There's a difference.
Yes. Well, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so.
Yes.
And you want to be around people that are around you because they want to be around you, not because, oh, you're my ride on Saturdays when I need to get someplace. You know, that's not why you want a friendship with someone. Unless you're perfectly okay with that arrangement, then fine. But I understood what you meant. You know,
I have like a meter. It's like one of those things where it's not necessarily like rating everybody, but it's like everyone, like, you know, when I first meet someone, it's very neutral. Like, awesome, you haven't done anything to me for me to hate you or for me to. But like the more I get to know you, it's like sometimes I'm like, oh, we're having a great time. Meter goes up a little bit, and we're having a good time.
Oh, it's a sliding scale.
But if you did like constantly reject me by saying, oh, I'm tired, I can't do this, you know, I'm gonna go a little bit down, and then I'm not gonna want to hang out with you as much. It doesn't mean that it's like...
I call that normal, though. That's a normal response.
Well, when someone promises to go see movies with you and that you're their ride or die when it comes to these movies, and because no one else will see them with you, and they want to see them, and they keep bailing on you every second, then, like, you know, at first it doesn't start off going down. It's like, okay, I understand, completely understand. And not that I don't understand, but I want to see this movie, and I don't want to go alone, so... just a little bit. It's just like...
Well, no, I definitely feel that.
That's how I'm feeling like with like bridesmaids talks. It's like, okay, who's up there right now? They're all competing at this point. It's like those little race horses. It's like the little
bridesmaids for you?
Yeah. I'm not getting married yet, but if I had to consider people, it's like right now there's those little water gun games where it's like, okay, who's getting in there?
I'm sorry, I just found out who Celine Song, the writer and director of this, is married to.
Joe's having an epiphany.
It's the potion seller guy.
No way!
Yeah.
Who's the potion
I need you to
seller
sell
guy?
me your strongest potions.
It's just these very funny YouTube
No
videos.
way!
Yeah, he's Arthur. That's him.
That's him?
I guess so, yeah.
Potion seller, I'm about to go to war.
And,
I'm gonna need
he
one of
just
your
wrote
strongest
Challengers,
potions.
that new movie with Zendaya coming out.
Zendaya, yeah.
And Queer, which is an adaptation of the William S. Burroughs novel for the same director, Luke Guadagnino.
Oh, nice.
If you haven't seen Potion Seller, I highly recommend looking that up.
So they kind of
That is an original YouTube
So he's actually the
old school
screenwriter.
video.
Yeah, I guess she is too.
Have you seen that video?
It
No, I
seems like
haven't
they
seen it,
both
but I like those
were
videos.
working in like theater before that.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, okay.
It is an OG YouTube. It is a classic. And if you literally go watch it, it's like, it's so weird that it's like during those times he was playing with like the camera like filter kind of stuff.
Yes.
Where he would like go into the camera and then go out of the camera to be the potion seller, and his face would get so. It was like one of those old YouTube poopy kind of deals. It was great. I'm about to go to battle. I need your finest potions.
I can't believe
He wrote and starred.
they've been married since 2016.
Shut up. No way. Who wouldn't want to marry the potion seller guy? He's genius. It's comedy gold. No wonder he wrote Boner.
So the guy that plays Arthur is also the screenwriter for the film.
No.
Okay.
I was just saying he seems to be the real life inspiration for
Arthur,
the character.
okay.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, he didn't write Past Lives either. That was all
He's
Celine
actually
Song.
in movies. I didn't know he was even actually in movies. Whoa.
But yeah, the guy who plays Arthur is John Magara, who is one of our best actors, and he is very rarely in big roles, but I love him.
Yeah, I thought he did a great job. I mean,
He was very good.
just really kind of being open, but yet you can tell he was conflicted.
Yeah.
But like when she brings him to the house, when she brings Hae-sung to the house, and Arthur's sitting there, you know, he kind of like gives this look like, okay, I just got to get this over with kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's actually the one that's like breaks the tension and is welcoming and warm to Hae-sung by speaking in Korean, and then Hae-sung starts speaking in English, and it's such a heartwarming moment.
And he's like, oh, my God likes pasta. We're
Yeah.
all good.
Yeah.
That pasta,
really
good
I get
choice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think that just made it twisted the knife a little more. Like,
Yeah.
you can't help but really care about her husband too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the connections thing is really what this is all about. Like, you have you could be in a loving, healthy relationship, but you just have a connection with somebody else that
You can't
that
deny.
when they're there, they are your focus, and they are creating a part of you that maybe you don't always have. And I think that's why this movie spoke so much to me. Should we rate it?
What are we rating it out of?
Indians. No, that's not a plural. Pastas?
Pastas?
Plates of
Pastas,
pasta.
I like
plates
it.
of pasta. I like that.
Boner books.
Yeah.
We're rated out of plates of pasta.
Yes.
That works.
All right, so I mean, I like I said, so I saw this movie, I guess I want to say in January for the first time, and when I saw it, I instantly changed my time to cry pick because it just really affected me. I watched it again, really affected me. Watched it last night, actually cried. Really just, I think it's a wonderful movie. I think it's a heartbreaking movie in the best ways possible. 5 out of 5 pastas for me.
Yeah. Well, this movie, even though it's based in reality, and even though I am on the same level with Annalisa of being the romantic of like, but this is how it should be, but this is the reality of life. Yeah. It's just a beautiful, moving movie, and it's just a slice of life that I can really get behind and enjoy, and I would watch this movie again. Maybe not right away, but I would watch it again, but it's getting 5 out of 5 plates of pasta.
Nice.
I thought the film was very good. It was perplexing. It built off awkwardness very well. Just like Joe, the camera shots, especially during the end scene, were really good at making you... It was a good use of time as well, considering those 2 minutes are always the longest. And I'm looking at like how much longer I have to go of this film, and it was like, I'm like, am I at the end? And it's just like, oh, but these 2 minutes feel like an eternity. And they do such a great job with her mental state after everything, her kind of being happy-go-lucky and then breaking down. I thought it was a fantastic realistic, just like La La Land, very realistic love. It was sad, but it was, you know, kind of happy at the same time. Closure was had. And then, you know, if you believe in a past life, maybe they'll come back again and they'll do it again. And maybe they'll get back together. I don't know. But for my rating, I give it a 4 out of 5 pastas. Solid 4 out of 5.
Me, 3 pastas. That's what I would rate the film.
What kind of pasta?
What kind of
There's
pasta?
got to be 3 different kinds.
Yeah, right?
different
What are the pastas?
No pastas. It's just pasta.
Just plain ass pasta.
Yeah, for
Just
me.
boiled, plain ass pasta.
Butter?
I don't like pasta with
no.
butter.
No.
That's what it sounds like. Sounds like you're
No, it's
sitting
just
there eating-
dry
eating-
pasta,
yeah.
Lou.
It hasn't even been boiled.
Wow.
Out of the box.
Wow.
Nice and crunchy.
Nice and crunchy.
Yeah.
I actually do enjoy when my mom used to break the pasta. I would take one and chew
Your
on
mom
it.
breaks pasta?
Yeah.
I
Before
thought
she
that was
puts
an
it in the
Italian
pot?
no.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's with the angel hair where they go and the moms go.
Yeah.
She breaks it.
I'm not even Italian, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I give it 4.5 plates of pasta because it was a beautiful film. The performances were amazing, and it did what it was supposed to. I legitimately feel like my heart got broken yesterday.
Yeah.
It's that like that pain in your chest where you feel like you can't breathe. It's very unpleasant, Lou.
You're welcome.
She's having
I-
a visceral reaction.
I will never watch this film again because I read romance for a reason. I don't want to feel like this.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful, and I like watching these movies every now and then. But I don't like being sad, and my chest is going to hurt for the next like day or two because
I think
I can't
are
stop
you happy
thinking about
Time to
it.
Cry is over?
I like sad movies that are sad. This was too. I
Real?
felt yes. It was too much for me
You'd
because
rather like puppies dying or something.
no,
like
I'll
Marley
stab
would be.
someone before I let a puppy die.
Good.
No.
Good.
It was very applicable and very real feeling, and so I give it 4.5 stars. I can't give it like the extra half
Oh,
a
hey,
star
where are these stars things coming from?
or whatever.
Star pasta.
Plates of pasta.
That was it.
Pastina.
What's it?
Pastina.
Pastina.
I give it 4.5 bowls of pastina.
Isn't there like one of the big pasta companies? They're not making pastina
Barilla's
anymore.
not making pastina.
The hell?
I don't know.
I don't use it, but
It's
I think
really
it's cute.
difficult.
You don't
as a
eat
child.
pastina?
Oh, I love pastina.
I like
Yeah.
it. It's just I don't ever have a chance to really cook with it.
That's because for me it's more of a sick food. That's
It's
what
a soup.
I.
yeah.
It's a soup
Yeah.
noodle.
Straight up.
Yeah, like that's
Yeah.
like that's that's what I associate it with. So
Mhm.
if, even if it was just like on a normal thing, I could never eat it because that's always just for me sick food.
I
Yeah,
always
because they
had
had like
pastina when
Campbell's,
I was
like
sick.
even like the Campbell's one, they were like chickens, noodles, and stars. So it reminds me of like it's a soup pasta.
Yeah.
It's
But
not
yeah.
real pastina, but it's like it reminds me
Joe
of like
has
a soup
to
pasta.
rate
You
the.
did.
How
what
many
you're supposed to.
pastas?
I'm hitting this with 4.5. This was wonderful and lovely, and I loved it. I'm probably gonna revisit this at some point. Yeah, I mean 3 perfect performances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why
lovely
4.5,
photography.
Joe?
I don't know.
Just out of
There's-
curiosity.
I liked it.
Get that
I'm
full
trying to be
pasta.
a little more conservative with my rating.
I
Because
literally
5
have
has to
given
mean a
everything
lot.
5. I think.
That's
Yeah.
what I feel. It's
Yeah.
5 has to be
Yeah.
like something that like knocked me off.
Yeah,
like
I,
Anna Karenina?
Shut up.
I gotta be.
I'm very upset.
I gotta start saving up those 5s, you know. But no, yeah,
I
loved
think
it.
4.5 is a good rating for this
Yeah.
because I loved it too.
Yeah.
But
It deserves the high ratings it got.
yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Well, listen. We hope you cried. We hope
I almost cried.
we hope you are all emotional wrecks. We hope this traumatizes you for life.
Jesus, Luke.
No, we don't.
Um,
Don't be like me.
Our Time to Cry series is over though, so there's no more crying in the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So until next time, we'll see you guys later.